quitting on your teammates it's hard to, that's hard to take as a coach. That's everything we stand for, is our commitment to one another, and for whatever reason that wasn't there for him.
Welcome back. That was Mike Stoops' reaction to the news of defensive lineman Charles Walker leaving the team to prepare for the draft. Walker suffered a concussion October 1st against TCU and has been sidelined ever since. But the Sooners that are still on the team have their focus elsewhere, and that is Saturday in Morgantown. The 9th-ranked Sooners hit the road for a late-season battle with West Virginia. OU comes into the game on a 7-game win streak in the Big 12. This game may be OU's toughest test yet, as they will play in a rowdy and hostile environment against the top defense in the conference.
We enjoy going into places where it's going to be hostile. They're going to be ready for us. They're going to get after it. They always have the place jumping, especially a night game where it's a top 10 matchup. So it'll be fun.
And OU volleyball has just 3 more games on the season, and tonight they head to the Little Apple, Manhattan, Kansas for a midweek matchup with K-State. The 14-12 Sooners are looking to end the season on a high note, as they have only won 2 of their last 7. And volleyball isn't the only team in action tonight. OU women's basketball takes the floor at the LNC for a non-conference game with Little Rock. The 16th-ranked Sooners come into the night having won 22 of their last 26 games, dating back to 2014. The game tips off at 7. And speaking of hoops, the madness is back. Basketball fans got to see a potential March preview last night as Kansas and Duke squared off at Madison Square Garden. The 7th-ranked Jayhawks knocked off the top-ranked Blue Devils in a thriller. Kansas star Frank Mason hit a clutch jumper near the end to seal the win, 77-75. And arguably one of the most talked about topics in the NFL finally saw a little closure yesterday. Rookie Dak Prescott has led the Cowboys to an impressive 8-1 start this year in the absence of Tony Romo. Many have wondered who would be under center when the veteran returned.
He's earned that right. He's guided our team to an 8-1 record, and that's hard to do. If you think for a second that I don't want to be out there, then you've probably never felt the pure ecstasy of competing and winning.
And it's Wednesday, and here at the OU Nightly Sports Desk, that means it's time to honor the Whiner of the Week. This week we stay right here on campus. The whiner this week is freshman linebacker Caleb Kelly. Kelly is a Cali boy and isn't too thrilled about the forecast for the game this weekend. He tweeted yesterday a picture of the weather Saturday in Morgantown, where it will be 36 degrees, and then a picture of his hometown weather of Fresno, where it will be quite warmer, with a caption, "Yo, do y'all know where I'm from?" Apparently the freshman may not have checked the schedule before signing with the Sooners earlier in the year, but I can say one thing, guys. Caleb, the defense is very, very happy to have you here, and I would be happy to give you this bottle of wine, but you're still a little young, so I'll give you one thing, and that is good luck on Saturday.
Well, and stay warm, I guess.
Yeah. Hey, I'm heading up there too, and I'm not looking forward to this snow, mixed rain, sleet, cold weather, but it's football
funny
weather,
you're
right?
From the same region as Caleb Kelly in Washington.
Yeah, but the Northwest is a little colder.
Yeah.
Sports, I'm Blakely Durham.
And I'm Stephen Mudd. Last year's OU versus TCU game was a wild one. Let's take a look at how wild it was. The quarterback drops back, rolls right, throws it up in the air, and no sir, no sir, no sir, says Stephen Parker as he swats the ball away to keep the Sooners alive 30-29. Here is what Baker Mayfield has to say about this year's game.
It's an exciting week to realize that we still have a lot in front of us. It's been good to get out there and kind of focus on us, focus back on the tempo, and get it kind of back on track.
And we are joined now by some of our Game Day U crew who are live in Fort Worth getting ready for the game tomorrow. Carson, we'll go to you first. Give us your key for the game.
Thanks, Blakely. We are live in Fort Worth at M&G Carter Stadium. I'm Carson Williams. This is Reagan Ledbetter. Our big key to the game tomorrow on offense is the rushing. It all starts with Joe Mixon and Samaj P. Ryan, right, Reagan?
Yes, it does. I think it's important for OU to not only start fast, but get Joe Mixon involved early. And we saw it down in Houston. Those first 2 drives, it was all Mixon. And look what happened. They had 2 good drives, 10 points starting out early, but that's where it all fell off, and now we've seen the last couple of weeks struggling to run the ball.
Right, and then all that starts in the trenches. You have to be able to get leverage on the defense, create holes. That's definitely big for Samaje Perine, because without that, he really can't create for himself like Joe Mixon can.
You know TCU's going to load the box. It's a Gary Patterson defense. We all know what's going to happen.
Right.
Samaje Perine is going to have a tough day trying to get through those holes. That's where I said you factor in Joe Mixon, where he's electric, he's quick, he's fast. He's a guy who can make plays with little he's got, and I think he's going to be the big key to tomorrow's game.
Yeah, that's for sure. Rushing the ball opens up stuff through the air, and that'll be big for Baker Mayfield's confidence. And that's about it from here. Now, guys, back to you in the studio.
Hey, thanks, guys. We'll come back to you later in the show, but for now, let's shift gears to some other Sooner sports happening this weekend. Steven?
Yeah, absolutely. The Sooners football team isn't the only team traveling this weekend. The 23rd ranked women's soccer team will be in Iowa tonight, squaring off against the Iowa State Cyclones at 7 p.m. And then they will travel to West Virginia to take on the 4th ranked Mountaineers at 2 p.m. on Sunday.
Well, the Sooner volleyball team will also be traveling to Fort Worth this weekend. OU volleyball is headed south to take on the Horned Frogs tomorrow at noon. The Sooners are coming off some tough losses to ranked opponents, so hopefully they are able to get back on track to begin Big 12 play. And star pitcher Paige Parker and the defending national champion softball team is back in action this weekend for the annual Fall Festival tournament. Sooners play tonight at 6:30 against Temple College and have a doubleheader tomorrow against Seminole State and Northern Oklahoma College.
The OU men's golf team will also be in Fort Worth this weekend. The Sooners will be playing in the Nike Collegiate Invitational from October 2nd to October 4th. After an impressive tournament win in the Gopher Invitational, the Sooners are hoping for a similar result this weekend.
And men's and women's tennis kick off the ITA All-Americans Championship this weekend. The women will be in Los Angeles while the men will be playing in Tulsa. The tournament begins today and will run through Sunday.
And still to come on Big Friday Sports, a Big 12 quarterback was injured last night.
Find out who that is and see highlights from last night's Dolphins-Bengals game coming up next on Big Friday Sports.
The Cubs and Indians squared off last night in a Game 6, and the Cubbies brought the wood early and often. Chris Bryant started the game off going yard to left, and Addison Russell followed in the third with a grand slam. Cleveland was able to get a couple runs on the board, but not enough, as Chicago took the win 9-3.
Here in the first quarter, Baker Mayfield drops back, can't find anyone, scrambles, continue to scramble, eventually finds Mark Andrews in the back of the end zone, 7-0 Sooners lead.
And 2nd and 10 later in the first, Mayfield finds Jeff Mead on the sideline, who does some laundry and puts that defense on the spin cycle all the way for 6, 14-3 Sooners.
Although the Cyclones would strike back as Jacob Park finds a wide open Alan Lazard, 14-10, Sooners still on top.
Second quarter now, Sooners trailing 17-14, but not for long. Baker finds D.D. Westbrook for 60 yards, making the Iowa State defense just fall down. Sooners back up 21-17.
Just before the half, Sooners are marching and Mayfield hits Dimitri Flowers to go up 28-17 at half.
Third quarter now, and the freshman linebacker Caleb Kelly trips up Park right here and gets the sack. First one on the season for Kelly.
Halfway through the fourth, Austin Seibert nails a 35-yard field goal to punt the Sooners up 10.
4th and 8 for the Cyclones. They need this one to stay alive, and the Sooners defense does not allow it. Sooners would get the ball back.
It would be 3rd and 3 for the Sooners. Handoff goes to Dimitri Flowers, who powers his way for the first down, and the Sooners would run out the clock from there.
They win in Ames 34-24.
And well, it's Wednesday, and that means one thing. It's time to honor that whiner of the week. On this edition, we head back to the East Coast. This week, Cam Newton is crying and whining. The reigning MVP thinks he's not getting the calls that other quarterbacks do. But Mr. Newton has a point, to a point. But to whine about it after the game does no good for anyone, except people like me who like to call out the whiner of the week.
The story of my life ever since I came in is just, well, we missed that one. I'm sorry, I'll try to get it. That's bullcrap. That's bullcrap. It's not fun. It's really taking the fun out of the game for me, honestly. It really is, because at times I don't even feel safe. Right, and enough is enough.
I'd be whining too if I had to wear that suit. That's pretty hideous if you ask me. But Cam, football is not fun when you're 2-5. Last year you weren't whining and you were 15-1.
And yeah, he was skipping conferences 15-1. And it's surprising to see him go to one for a change.
It's funny how that works out, isn't it?
Thank you, Reagan. Saturday for OU would make them 4-0 in the Big 12, the strongest start since 2004.
Hey, speaking of Lubbock, Carson Williams and Reagan Ledbetter are standing by in Lubbock to tell us more about the game. Fellas.
Thank you, Steven. We are here at Jones AT&T Stadium. All is calm right now, but the Sooners and Red Raiders will be in a heavily favored or a highly anticipated showdown here tomorrow night, Reagan.
It's going to be a big game. The return of Baker Mayfield is a top story for a lot of people. Other things coming in, OU has an offense finally clicking on all cylinders, something the Sooners have been looking for a long time now. But also, on the other side of the ball, the defense, struggling, still coming in here. But, it's a big game, a tough place to play for the Sooners here.
OU will go through a run-through tomorrow morning here at Jones AT&T Stadium. But like you said, they will be looking to start fast like they did last week against Kansas State, the #1 defense in the Big 12. So obviously, they did a very good job against a top defense this week against Texas Tech. Their defense not as high-powered or not as, tough, but,
Giving up 40 points a game.
That's a big thing. Their defense is the Texas Tech defense not very good. I also do think they're going to have to get pressure on Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
He's a very talented quarterback. Maybe some even think he's the most talented quarterback in the Big 12. He's playing a little hurt right now, so I think getting pressure on him and getting him on this AstroTurf is going to be big.
For me, it's about Joe Mixon. Samaje Perine out 2 to 3 weeks. Joe Mixon, the 5-star athlete, finally getting his chance to be the guy. We've been all waiting for this. Everybody in Norman's waiting for Joe Mixon to get his shot at being the guy. He's athletic. He's great in the pass game. He's great in the running game. But it's his time to start in a tough place to play. Can he execute and play at a high level, being the only guy who gets all of the carries? Abdul Adams behind him, a guy who's young, freshman, but been playing very well. Mixon's averaging about 6 yards a carry here. But can Baker Mayfield utilize Joe Mixon in the passing game just as well as he does in the running game?
Yeah, we're going to find out tomorrow. But that's it for now, guys. We'll be back in a minute, but back to you for right now.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Cleveland rocks! 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 Cleveland rocks!
Oh, Cleveland, or should I say Believeland, is the center of the sports world right now. Last night, fans got to see the King and the Cavs put a ring on it, and next door, the World Series kicked off. But starting out with a little baseball, it was pure dominance throughout for the Indians. Corey Kluber sat Cubs batters down left and right, racking up 9 strikeouts through 6 innings. Catcher Roberto Perez slugged 2 homers, sealing the 6-0 Game 1 Cleveland win. And back to the King, LeBron Do-It-All James. The best player in the league started off his season just like he finished his title run. James racked up a triple-double against the Knicks with 19 points, 11 rebounds, and 14 assists. The Cavs started defending their title with a 117-88 win. And well, the undefeated dream for the Bay Area was short-lived, and I mean really, really short-lived. The powerhouse Golden State Warriors had a night to forget in the Kevin Durant debut last night. Pop and the Spurs had their way, piling up a 129-100 win to start their season on a high note. Speaking of Durant and his old mates, kick off their season tonight as the Thunder travel to Philly to play the Sixers.
Hey, speaking of Lubbock, Carson Williams and Reagan Ledbetter are standing by in Lubbock to tell us more about the game. Fellas.
Thank you, Steven. We are here at Jones AT&T Stadium. All is calm right now, but the Sooners and Red Raiders will be in a heavily favored or a highly anticipated showdown here tomorrow night, Reagan.
It's going to be a big game. The return of Baker Mayfield is a top story for a lot of people. Other things coming in, OU has an offense finally clicking on all cylinders, something the Sooners have been looking for a long time now. But also, on the other side of the ball, the defense, struggling, still coming in here. But, it's a big game, a tough place to play for the Sooners here.
OU will go through a run-through tomorrow morning here at Jones AT&T Stadium. But like you said, they will be looking to start fast like they did last week against Kansas State, the #1 defense in the Big 12. So obviously, they did a very good job against a top defense this week against Texas Tech. Their defense not as high-powered or not as, tough, but,
giving up 40 points a game.
That's a big thing. You know, their defense is the Texas Tech defense not very good. I also do think they're going to have to get pressure on Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
He's a very talented quarterback. Maybe, you know, some even think he's the most talented quarterback in the Big 12. He's playing a little hurt right now, so I think getting pressure on him and getting him on this AstroTurf is going to be big.
For me, it's about Joe Mixon. Samaje Perine out 2 to 3 weeks. Joe Mixon, the 5-star athlete, finally getting his chance to be the guy. We've been all waiting for this. Everybody in Norman's waiting for Joe Mixon to get his shot at being the guy. He's athletic. He's great in the pass game. He's great in the running game. But it's his time to start in a tough place to play. Can he execute and play at a high level, being the only guy who gets all of the carries? You know, Abdul Adams behind him, a guy who's young, freshman, but been playing very well. You know, Mixon's averaging about 6 yards a carry here. But can Baker Mayfield utilize Joe Mixon in the passing game just as well as he does in the running game?
Yeah, we're going to find out tomorrow. But that's it for now, guys. We'll be back in a minute, but back to you for right now.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Writing a paper that I actually enjoy writing. And it's always better when it's the papers that you enjoy. Some papers you just don't like writing, but the papers you enjoy writing, you have fun with.
Last fall, Sooners linebacker Eric Stryker entertained the local media with a saga of his term paper on former President Franklin Roosevelt.
This is what made him a better leader. You know, he went, you know, he had the New Deal. He had some things that were unconstitutional. You know, he kind of went against, broke rules for the people, was for the people.
As usual, the talkative linebacker was just having some fun. But was there a message beneath the humor?
I know as the athletic department, we've had great success in our athletic department. I think we set another record this year.
In fact, things like GPAs and SAT scores are considered during the recruiting process.
It matters to us. So we're constantly trying to find those guys, you know, that fit us both athletically and academically.
Take, for example, track and cross-country star Brandon Dowdy. He has been an all Big 12 academic student who just finished his first semester in graduate school. Dowdy is pursuing a degree in administrative leadership.
It's important to do well athletically, but I think especially because most of us aren't going to run or do our sports for the rest of our lives, or even if we do post-collegiate athletics, it's not going to last forever. It's always good to have a backup or something to be able to rely upon.
Despite his time spent on academics, Dowdy has been an all Big 12 performer 3 times and has been named to the all Midwest region team twice.
I think you just have to have good time management skills. I've taken a lot of online classes, and a lot of people think they're harder, but I think they're easier. You just have to have, you can't procrastinate, and you just have to be on top of things.
Dowdy is not alone. Here at the Prentice Scott Academic Center, student athletes spent countless hours with tutors and each other, helping make sure they not only get by in the classroom, but they excel, just like on the playing field.
We have tutors ranging from math to science to whatever you can dream of. It's all free. We can pick the times we want. We have our own study hall. We have a computer lab with free printing. We have academic advisors that want what's best for us. Just everything that we could ask for.
The fall 2015 semester was a record-setting one. The Oklahoma Athletic Department achieved a cumulative GPA of 3.0 or higher for the 8th straight semester. 15 of OU's 19 athletic teams held a 3.0 or better in the fall. So whether they're an all-conference linebacker or a long-distance runner, OU student athletes are setting new marks for excellence. Lindy Simpson, Sooner Sports Pad.